Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. I am so pleased and so blessed that you are spending just a small part of your day with myself and my guest today, Brittany Clayborne. I am so excited to have her on. This woman is a warrior in many, many different ways. Brittany is a heart transplant recipient, a cancer survivor, single mom, author, motivational speaker, and doctor of psychology. Her story is one that's probably going to stop you in your tracks and maybe make you question your own ability and strength for survival. During her illness, Brittany decided to dedicate her time and effort to the things that truly moved her soul. And in that pursuit, she found her love for speaking and helping others evolve. Her ability to connect with so many different types of people with her honesty, humor, and animated enthusiasm brings her story to life in a transformative, passion-driven, and unique way. Brittany, I have really been looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today on Let Fear Bounce.
Thank you so much, Kim, for having me. I have been looking forward to this conversation as well.
Now, your bio, wow. You don't even know where to begin.
This is true. As you were reading it, I was kind of like, wow, I've got to meet her.
I just had a conversation earlier today about how interesting it is to hear someone else read your bio, your personal bio. So if someone's reading mine, I'm a guest on someone's show, they're reading my bio, and I sit there and go, wow, I have done a lot. Wow, I have accomplished a lot. Wow, yeah. I have been through a lot. Yeah. And you don't think of it yourself because you're just doing it. I'm trying to think of where I even want to start. What I want to start at, I guess, is your public speaking. Obviously, there's a big backstory to that, to where you started public speaking. You're a heart transplant, cancer survivor, you're a single mom, you're an author, speaker, a doctor of psychology.
So let me just take you to the beginning. I was 26 years old. I was in perfect health. I was pregnant with my first son, well, only son, and I had a heart attack during labor. From that heart attack, about every 2 years, my heart weakened. So 2 years after my son was born, I got a pacemaker. About 2 years after that, I started getting shocked. So I died about 6 times and got shocked back. And then about 2 years after that, I was told I needed a heart transplant. I didn't get the heart transplant in time. I spent about 9 months in the hospital waiting for that heart transplant. In that 9 months, in order to keep myself from going completely insane, I started my master's program, and I finished that master's program in those 9 months. And then I said, okay, you guys got to let me out of here. I have to get home to my child. And they said, the only way we can let you out without a heart transplant is by giving you a mechanical heart. So I had heart surgery and they put the mechanical heart in. So I went home with a battery pack, or what my son called my robot heart, because it had to be plugged in. I had batteries that I carried around, and nobody wanted to hang out with me anymore because I used the car charger in your car to charge my battery, my heart. They were like, nope. Brittany, you want to go with us? I was like, yeah, I'd love to go. Can you plug my heart into your car charger? They were like, yeah, no, you can't go. You're staying home. No. I phoned over Brittany's heart.
They were fearful?
Yeah, absolutely. Because first of all, it's just a very odd thing. It's a very odd thing. Once that mechanical heart is running, it runs like a motor. So your actual heart does not beat. So if I were to pass out and you were to check for a pulse, there would be none. You wouldn't know if I'm asleep or if I'm dead. And once again, I was on a battery operated heart. So if that battery didn't get plugged all the way in, then my heart was not pumped. So there was a lot around it. It couldn't get wet. It couldn't get, all of these little things. But I had that mechanical heart for about 2 years. And then I finally got a heart transplant. I'll never forget that day, ever, as long as I live. So I received my heart transplant in January of 2018. So 8 years after my son was born. And I was recovering really, really well. And then in November of 2018, they said, you have stage 4 cancer. And we started the process to cure the cancer. So I did 6 months of chemo. I did radiation. I did a trial drug. and I was declared cancer free, not in remission yet, but cancer free February of 2020, and then COVID hit. And I can just laugh. I
I was
can't
going to
even.
say that's all you can do is laugh because it's insane.
So while I was going through the cancer treatment and the beginning of COVID, I was doing my doctorate, and because COVID hit and I couldn't go, usually as a doctoral student, we have to go and do clinicals and sit in on those counseling sessions and so on and so forth. Well, because everything went virtual, it sped up the process quite a bit, because in a normal world, you might be able to get to 1 or 2 sessions a week, just physically. But because everything was being recorded now, you could just sit there and devour them as many hours as you could. So COVID was actually positive in that regard. Is it saved me probably a year on my doctorate. And that's how we got here.
And now here we are today.
Now here we are today on variant number 8. And
I know, it's crazy.
yes, ma'am.
Wow, was there a history of heart issues? I mean, to have a heart issue at the age of 26, that's really uncommon.
Very uncommon. There was no family history, no indication of it. It's a condition called peripartum cardiomyopathy, and it simply means an unexplained weakening of the heart muscle during or after pregnancy.
When I had my daughter, I was 22, and after I had her, I started having my heart started fluttering.
Mm.
And so I said, hey, this is not right. This is weird. So I had, to get all kinds of, EKGs and echocardiograms and all these different testing done, because they were thinking there was something wrong with one of my mitral valve prolapse is what they were looking for or looking at then. Mm-hmm. That was a while ago. But then it turned out, it was okay. But they said this was caused by pregnancy.
Yeah, and most women do recover relatively well from peripartum cardiomyopathy. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's kind of one of those like 1 in every 500,000 don't, and I'm just lucky. So,
You're one of those lucky ones. Wow.
yeah, so I go to the casino a lot just to see if that luck's gonna, come back.
That's right.
It has not. So here we are.
For you. Hasn't quite worked for you yet.
Not twice in one lifetime. I haven't gotten it. No.
All right, so then you go through that, and it's going well. You finally got your actual heart transplant, and
right.
What an amazing blessing that is.
I can't even. I still to this day. It's been what am I 4 years out in January. January 13th was my 4-year, what we call heart anniversary.
Wow.
And it's still surreal to imagine that someone was considering another person's life, even if theirs couldn't continue. That will forever blow my mind. And that's why I'm so committed to that. That's honestly one of the reasons I started public speaking. 2 reasons. One, I needed my donor's legacy to live on. That it's very, very important to me that his legacy live on, that it move forward, and that he not be remembered for the way he died, if that makes any sense. And the second part is, once you die 6 times, there's so much in the world that you realize isn't as important as you thought it was. And there are other things that you realize are very important. One of the things that I deem to be those very important things is the way that we show up in the world, the way that we live, the way that we love, the embodiment of who we are as humans. I know that we are chasing the cars and the money and the houses and the status symbols and the likes and the followers. But when they were rolling me in there, or before then, when they brought my son to me and said, just in case this heart doesn't work, say goodbye, I could have cared less about the followers or about any bank account or about any status symbol that we deem important on this planet. Because what was going through my mind right then with my mom and my friends and my son and my ex-husband was, did I love them enough? Are they going to be able to look back in their heart and in their mind at moments that we shared and say, man, she loved us? And if I had not done that, if I couldn't say, yes, they can do that, then I didn't live to the fullest potential of who I'm supposed to be. We're supposed to be here to love each other. We're supposed to be here to empower each other. We're supposed to be here to make each other better. And if we're not doing that and we're only here for the purpose of bettering ourselves for ourselves, we're not doing it right.
You're missing the boat if you're only in it for yourself.
Absolutely. And once I realized that, I the way that I live life completely changed because, like I said, I could have millions of dollars in the bank. I do not have millions of dollars in the bank, but I could.
Yeah, that's right.
And if I did, that would be amazing. But I'd probably be giving it all away, to be honest with you.
I have said the same exact thing. I said, I could have millions of dollars, but I more than likely would give a massive amount of it away.
Probably give most of it away.
Not just to any Tom, Dick, and Harry, but I would be giving it away to those who need it. Or
Absolutely.
a passion project of mine, hey, okay, we've got veterans, homeless veterans. Here, let me help you at least monetarily. I have it. Go build a couple
Right.
houses.
How amazing would that be? Right. Like I just see that those types of things. I often say, especially when I'm talking about organ donation and just kind of the advocacy around that, I often say we are each other's hope. There was not another medical intervention in the world that could have saved my life except for another human saying, I want someone else to live even if I don't. Knowing that, understanding my place in humanity as the hope for another person, it could be through any one of the avenues, right? It could be through a book I'm writing. It could be through a speech I'm giving. It could be through simply letting my son's greedy friends come and eat up all our snacks. It could be anything. But just to know that I've touched someone, made a difference in any way, is absolutely what I'm looking for at the end of the day. And that feels right.
Absolutely. I understand you. I do.
Feels right.
And the story you have is just you've got so much that went on in actually relatively short period of time,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of it all just started going on. It seems like at once. With the heart transplant and then getting, or the mechanical heart, and then the heart transplant, and then getting cancer. And how has your son gone through this journey with you? What type of impact has it had on him as a young
I
man?
just tell you how much I love that dude. Oh, I love him so much. He's 11 now. And I mean, literally, I've been sick since the day he was born. He was in the NICU, he was in newborn ICU, and I was in cardiac ICU. So he doesn't know a healthy mommy. But man, he has handled it like a trooper. I mean, to imagine, like that time I stayed in the hospital for 9 months. I dropped him off at school this morning and I said, Mommy's gonna go to a doctor's appointment. I think I had a left heart cath or something like that. So I'm gonna go to the hospital and then I'm gonna pick you up from school because they were just supposed to go in, get some measurements, come on out. They went in and they were like, hey, you're going to stay till we get a heart for you. I was like, no, I have to pick my son up at 3. And they were like, no, not today. And it wound up not being until 9 months later. And I was in ICU. He was 6. So he couldn't come to ICU. So I would see him for 20 minutes on Sunday. They would sneak him up the back stairs. And he's the only child, obviously. So I, I'm the only child as well. So I can't imagine my mom telling me, I'll see you later, and then literally just kind of disappearing in my childish mind, right?
Right. Yeah. In that age frame, you'd be like, wait a
Right.
minute. I don't get it.
Thank God before Steve Jobs and FaceTime because because without him, right? If this would have been 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had some of those moments. And of course, FaceTime wasn't then 5 years ago what it is now, but we had something. That was where we read bedtime stories, and that was where we did homework, and that was where he could see, he would call me and go, are they hurting you? And I'd be able to show him, nope, no buddy, they're not hurting me. See, I've just got this wire and it's doing this, or this wire is doing this, and I'm fine. He has throughout his short life developed an incredible amount of empathy toward humanity. So for his 10th birthday, he was born in 2010, so his 10th birthday was in 2020, COVID, so no birthday party. Also, the first year that mommy is healthy, because all those other years we had parties, but they were kind of like, because I was sick in one way or another. So 2020 was supposed to be the 10th birthday, the big shebang, and we couldn't do it. So I jumped on Facebook and I said, hey, friends, you guys have kind of watched my journey, and you know that Micah's been a part of this journey as well. So here are a few things that he wants. He loved getting Amazon packages. So I was like, if you guys could send him maybe 10 Amazon packages, like if he got 10 in the mail, he would be super excited. And my friends were like, sure, why not? They sent 70.
Awesome.
That's what I said. Every day we had piles of Amazon packages at the door. The Amazon guy, he would just walk to the door shaking his head like, I don't know who these people are or what kind of drug ring they're running. But this
right.
is and they were all addressed to my son, right? So he's just, and it was everything. It was books and toys and, school material and clothes. And oh my goodness, he loved it. When he got all those things and I told him who they were from, I said, what are you going to do to say thank you? How are you going to say thank you? And he said, this made me feel less alone. And I want every kid to not ever feel alone. So on his 10th birthday, he started a nonprofit called Micah Gives. And Micah Gives is dedicated to the psychological and emotional well-being of any child that is in the midst of a difficult situation. So we send out what we call Brave boxes. And it's basically it's basically coping kits, but he wants to make sure that no child feels alone because he understands what that feels like. And he just wants to wipe it off the face of the planet. So that is my incredible boy.
He's going to be a trailblazer.
He's going to do something good. I mean, if he can finish his homework, we still have normal 11-year-old finish your homework problem. Like he's great, but we still have to have some serious conversations about homework and broccoli because he's 11 and, he just realized girls are there. So that's a whole thing. And
yeah.
Remember, I don't know if people realize, but psychologically, psychologically, they say the age your greatest trauma happens is the age that you kind of stay at. Well, it was very traumatic for them to come home from school one day and then not go back for a year and a half. So he was about 8-ish, 8 or 9, right? So about 2 years. So when he went to school the last time, everybody looked the same. Like all the girls and boys looked the same. Now they're preteens, and stuff is popping out of their shirt. It's a whole world of newness. And he's like, Mom, I got to get these specific cookies because this girl likes them and she will sit with me if I have these cookies. I'm like, well, I got regular Oreos. He's like, no, they need to be the limited edition chocolate ultimate Oreos because those are the ones she likes. So guess who goes to Walmart at midnight? Because I'm not going to let him fail at his first courting experience because I bought the wrong Oreos, Kim.
That's right.
That's trauma. Then he's going to be sitting on somebody's couch in 10 years because I bought the wrong Oreos?
That's right. My mom messed me up.
I'm sorry. We're off track. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. No, you can't. He had to have the right Oreo.
He had to have the right Oreo. And they weren't at one store. They were only at Walmart. So I had to go to Walmart and get those cookies. And I bought 3 packs of them because by God, we're not going to run out.
I was going to say, you're not going to run out of them.
You'll never catch me slipping. Nope. Guess what she's getting for Valentine's Day? A whole package of them. Got it covered already. February 1st.
Oh my goodness. Wow, yes, 11-year-old boys.
Yes, they are super fun. They are super duper fun.
But what an amazing young man with, such a huge heart to want to
Yes,
start his own nonprofit to help other kids in the same type of situation he was in to not feel alone. I mean, that's huge, and that's a God-given gift right there.
absolutely. And
You know,
I
that's
wonder, I ask myself all the time, would he have been like this if he had not gone through the things with me? If I had had a normal pregnancy and a normal, he had had a normal childhood, would he be as empathetic? And I don't know that he would have.
that's hard. Yeah, hard to say.
Right. It's hard to say. It's
Because
hard to say,
your
but
path was laid out for you long ago.
yeah, I really
So the
wish.
plan, maybe that's part of the plan.
I really wish somebody would have gone over the plans with me before
Wouldn't
they
that
just.
be awesome?
That'd be so fun. Like, could I get a review of this before you just throw me out there?
I've asked the same thing. Hey, if you could give me a heads up sometime, that
Could you
would
give
be
me a wink
awesome.
or something? Just wink if I should go left and nod if I should go right. That'd be good.
Yeah, and I've never really gotten a reply, or I have, and I just didn't recognize it, or I have and said, no, I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to go
I
that
I
way.
actually have one of those I have one of those stories too. I did not do it the way I was supposed to, and the whole path was delayed.
Yep.
So yeah,
I
it
think we've all done that,
absolutely,
and
absolutely,
I think many of us more than once.
absolutely. So I ran into the group that I'm working with now. It is through Light Beamers and Positivity Lady Press, and we have created this collaborative book. And the title of the book is Elevate Your Voice. And when they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we really want you to be a part of this project," I was excited, but I was also very afraid because elevating your voice can be scary.
Hmm.
It can be really scary. And it reminds me of when they told me the title of the book, it reminded me of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg quote that says, speak your mind, even if your voice shakes, because there's so many things that we should say, that we should express, that we should feel comfortable expressing, especially if it's a part of our story and it's going to light the path for someone else. But we don't, because we feel like, what if it doesn't sound right? Or what if I'm not the expert on it? But what I've realized is I am the expert on my life. And in being the expert on my life, no, I absolutely cannot tell you how to live yours. I absolutely cannot. But I hope that by sharing some of me with you, you can use some of my experiences as a flashlight into your journey. And that's what I think the purpose, at least for me, that's what the purpose of Elevate Your Voice is it's a group of women speaking up about all of these different experiences that they've had and saying, my voice may shake and this may not sound like the greatest story ever told, but it's my story. And my story is going to be a light for someone else's path, and they're trusting that and they're owning that. And I love, love, love this project and what it's doing for so many women around the world, not just those of us that are included in the project.
And I can only imagine it will have a huge impact. You and I were talking off mic about, a little bit of your journey of how it was, you went through the process of getting your story into this book. And it's due to be released in the spring of this
Right.
year, correct?
Spring of 2022. Yes, ma'am.
So that's just awesome. Because I've participated and coordinated anthologies as well. And you are absolutely right when you said it not only impacts those that are writing their stories and sharing their stories, and for many of them, it's the very first time they've ever shared it. And realizing that, oh, it's not just me writing it in a journal, this is actually going out to the world,
Mhm.
and you get that negative self-talk going. Is
Yes.
anybody really going to want to read my story? Or are they going to read it? Am I going to be judged now? People are going to look at me different now? All of that goes through, in many different ways. It's different for every person. But I remember the first time I shared my story in 2014, so it was a while ago, in an anthology.
Mm.
It was a very difficult thing for me to write. 1,500 words. It was so hard to write because I had not ever shared that part of my story publicly.
Mm.
And then to know that you're going to, it's going out into the world. So regardless of what you feel, and I had to pull myself back and realize that too. Okay, you know what? It doesn't really matter how I feel.
Right.
Because there's a reason behind sharing it.
Right. Exactly.
And you're giving it as a gift to someone else who you will probably never meet. You have no idea what situation they're sitting in, what dark room that they are on their hands and knees, tears streaming down their faces, praying to a God that they may not believe in.
Oh, you're killing me.
That's the light. Your story is that light. And that's how I explain my journey, my story. Because I was that person on my knees, tears streaming down my face, crying out to a God I didn't believe in. And someone tossed a light at me. So we all come to a point in our lives, no matter what it is that we've went through, that it is time to share your little nugget of light. And that's why I always say, I just want to toss nuggets of goodness and nuggets of light. I want to walk around with my bucket of nuggets. That's what I call it. And toss little nuggets of light and kindness and hope and goodness and grace and whatever it is that God has deeming me to put in that nugget when I toss it. And you're doing the same thing, and you're going to reach so many people with your story, and many you'll never hear from, you'll never know, you'll never meet, but it very well could change their life. Even if it's just that minute when they're so down and they're so stuck in their own muck in that dark place, and they're able to look up and say, oh, maybe I can get through this.
Right.
Just that one little sentence could change everything. Maybe I can do this. Gosh, how powerful.
It is. And I think just like you said at the beginning of our broadcast, you said, sometimes I'll listen to my bio and I'll go, man, I did all of that, we're so busy living it, or not even living it. We're so busy surviving through it that we sometimes forget to live it. So because I've kind of talked about my son today, I'm going to pick him up and I'm going to hug him a whole lot today. And he's going to be like, what is wrong with you? But
because I'm 11 now, Mom.
He's like, oh man. Like, so they play video games and stuff now online. So they have these headsets they wear so they can talk to the other players. And I'll go in there purposely when he's on with a bunch of guys. And I'm like, I love you. He's like, oh my God. He just slides down in his chair. I mean, he's a black kid, but that's where he turns red. Like I'm like, did you just lose all your color? What happened to you? He's like, you can't do that when I'm playing shooting games. It's not cool. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guy. I love you. I love you all the time. Sorry.
As a mom, I think it's a law that you have to embarrass your children. You have to. I used to do it to my daughter all the time. We would be leaving Walmart or something, and it would be pouring down rain, and she's like, Mom, we've got to run. And I'm like, no, we're not running. We're going to walk slowly. We're going to saunter to the car in the rain, singing a song. And she's like,
you're the best mom.
So I'd be like going, singing in the rain. I'd be dancing. And she would her head would be down, and she'd be like racing to the car. So I would sing louder.
Good for you. See, you're one of those moms that, it's moms like you that allow us to get scholarships to therapy.
He looks back on those moments now and laughs and says, Mom, you're a pretty cool mom. I'm like, well, of course. Duh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'll jump on the video game with my son. His friends are like, oh, dude, your mom loves you. Yeah, and I'll say, I'm going to play the video game with you. So I'll go get on the video game and I take them all out. I'm the best because I spent so much time in the hospital. I didn't have anything to do but play video games. So now I'll get on there and I'm like, I'm taking out all his friends. He's like, dude, is that your mom? And my screen name, guess what my screen name is? Micah's mommy.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect. He's like, could you please change your screen name to like something else? I'm like, no, not at all. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
It's
you
going
got
to
to
be
keep it
Micah's
moving.
mommy.
Yeah,
So it says to his friends, Dragonfly, you got taken out by Micah's mommy. It's like, that's what I wanted to say.
that's exactly
Exactly what I wanted to say.
I love it. Love it. Well, hey, share with folks where they can find out more about you and when the book is coming out and all kinds of stuff like that. Where can they find you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on TikTok, and my handle is at Dr. Dr. Brittany Brittany speaks SPEAKS. Or you can just hop onto my website, and that's just BrittanySpeaks.com. Otherwise, I look forward to working with you in the future, Kim. I don't feel like we're done yet.
No, I don't think so. I have the same feeling. I have the same feeling. This has been such an awesome conversation. And I take notes as I chat with guests. I've got 2 pages of notes as I'm talking to you. And there's just all kinds of ideas popping in my head and additional questions. So definitely want to keep up on your journey. I want to hear more about your speaking engagements
Absolutely.
and types of organizations like that. We didn't even get to touch on that yet.
No, not really.
Which means we'll probably have to have you back on sometime.
Darn.
Darn it, I know. What a chore.
Well, it was absolutely my pleasure. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your audience. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Kim.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And all of you, like I will echo Brittany. Thank you all for listening and spending a part of your day with myself and Brittany on Let Fear Bounce. And until next time, folks, everyone be well, stay well, and be blessed.